Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Travis Nelson, and I'm the manager of the College of Business and Economics Office of Career and Professional Development at Cal State East Bay. Today, we're joined by the internship recruiter and coordinator for the Oakland Museum of California, Dana Hunley. Dana is here to share some information about the museum and the many paid internships that they have available that range from marketing, finance, IT, HR, to media production, public engagement, and even exhibit curation. The Oakland Museum of California is one of my favorite places to spend my Friday nights, and if you've never actually attended their Friday nights at OMCA, you definitely should. So I don't want to take up more time gushing about how much fun those Friday nights are. Let me turn it over to Dana.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. Thank you, Travis, for the warm introduction. I'm here to talk about our internship program, which is called OMCA Up, and there's 14 internships across departments. So I wanted to start out the presentation with a video that was created during last year's program. So let me play this for you.
Bringing together art, science, and history, the Oakland Museum of California tells many stories that comprise California, creating the space and context for greater connection, trust, and understanding between people. Established in 1969, the museum's mission is to inspire all Californians to create a more vibrant future for themselves and their communities.
Through its inclusive exhibitions, public programs, educational initiatives, and cultural events, OMCA brings Californians together.
The museum inspires understanding about what our state's art, history, and natural surroundings teach us about ourselves and each other. OMCA is a leading cultural institution of the Bay Area and a resource for the research and understanding of California's dynamic cultural and environmental heritage for visitors from the region, the state, and around the world.
The museum is dedicated to providing a unique public space for people to come together with their community, be inspired, and express themselves creatively.
OMCA hires from a variety of disciplines, from business professionals to artists and everything and everyone in between, creating a collaborative environment where people with a wide variety of skills and experiences are able to thrive. We pride ourselves on our diverse culture, from the executive board to the visitors, which allows for creative thought, empathy, and a true sense of inclusion. The staff is inclusive of all communities, such as LGBTQ+ and differently abled communities, and represent a wide range of life experiences and social-economic backgrounds. OMCA Up is an 11-week paid internship program at the Oakland Museum of California for currently enrolled students or recent graduates at the undergraduate and graduate level. OMCA Up exposes students to cultural arts as a career path opportunity for emerging professionals.
There's definitely a very, like I mentioned before, experimental spirit here, and also, if you are coming in to learn something from the institution, everyone is very open to helping you out. It's a great place to learn about the museum environment.
I've had a lot of internships. I feel like this one was kind of more like, real world, like being an adult, compared to like a lot of the other ones would make me feel like a teenager or feel like a younger person. And I feel like this internship was different because I feel like I'm getting prepared to see what, actually working is. It seems like people really work hard to connect to the community, especially with the exhibitions. And I think working here, I think it's really cool that people are really intentional about, hearing the stories and the voices of a lot of folks in the community who are often left out of media or the traditional museum experience.
If you want to do meaningful work, develop yourself and grow, work in a diverse environment, and have fun, OMCA is the place for you.
Consider applying to OMCA Up for a position that interests you.
With internships in a variety of disciplines, opportunities to learn and grow are plentiful.
Okay, so that video gives you an idea not only of the program, but also of the museum in general. We'll skip over that one. So let's talk a little bit about the museum. So the Oakland Museum of California tells the many stories of California, and what our goal is at the museum through our various disciplines, which include history, natural science, and art, as well as a larger gallery space that is changes out 2 to 3 times a year, is to create a place for community. And that is a place that represents the diversity of California and of also the Bay Area, where we're located in Oakland, and tells the many stories of California and of all the people here and of the landscape and of the art. So we want to create an area for people to come together and share their stories. This is the second year of our OMCAF internship, and we really designed this internship program and continue to design and develop the program with the goal to diversify the museum workforce, to create opportunities for all people to work in museums. And a huge part of that that is exciting to me, and I think is really fun about some of the roles that I'm working on recruiting for, is to expose people who may not consider a career in museums or a career in nonprofit for whatever reason, what it would be like to work here. People may think about a finance career and not necessarily consider working at a museum. So we want to provide opportunities to show what a career path would look like in a cultural institution. It's an 11-week program. It does start June 17th and go through the end of August. It's 20 hours a week. There are flexible hours depending on the department that you're in. It is a paid internship, and that was really crucial to wanting to, again, create a level playing field for all applicants and provide a paid internship. I also have to say, from being an employee here as well, there's a lot of really great benefits. I love being on site at a museum. It's pretty nice to take your breaks in the gallery and check out different art. We also are really entrenched within our community of cultural institutions and have a lot of great relationships with local museums to be able to visit for free. Also, as a part of the program, we have partnerships with various other cultural institutions to provide training opportunities for our interns to go on site at other institutions. We also host their interns and provide group training opportunities. So now I want to talk about our internships, and I've selected a handful to talk about. We do have 13 different ones, but we are hiring 2 in our collections management. So I'm going to start going through them, and there's going to be plenty time after I go through these for you to ask any questions that you have. So we do have a marketing and communications internship, and I have to brag, we have a great communications team here that does so much, because when we're thinking about community, when we're thinking about communications, we're thinking about community engagement and visitor experience. And so the person in this particular role will work with on our social media, with our social media expert, and be able to get a lot of really hands-on experience when we think about the way that we communicate and talk about what we have going on here at the museum. Not only do we have our galleries that are always being changed and update, we have our large gallery that I mentioned that changes on a fairly regular basis. Right now we have the Eames exhibit, the husband and wife design team. If you're not familiar with Eames, I'm sure you'll recognize the sleek design of the chair. That kind of seems to be the centerpiece of what people know about Eames. Prior to that, we had an exhibit called Respect, and it was all about hip hop in the Bay Area, hip hop in California, predominantly hip hop in the Bay Area, and kind of the growth of hip hop and the role that it plays on its community. So there's always new exhibits coming in. One of the exhibits that'll be coming in that all of these interns will support in some way or another is our Burning Man exhibition, which is going to be really unique in that we have worked with local artists to create pieces for the exhibition, and they will be on site to help interact with guests. So the marketing communications intern will be working on, again, how we talk about that. It's also a huge year for us at the museum. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary. So there's going to be a lot of events and activities for all our different populations and visitors to experience. And again, this person will be pivotal in making sure that that's communicated in a concise and effective way. Our social impact finance intern will be working with our CFO and our payroll manager. And I'm just looking and seeing the text running off the slide. Sorry about that. A huge value and that we follow here at the museum is our social impact. And part of that is what we choose to display and how we talk about, again, the diversity of California and create a place for people to come together and feel safe and talk about it and interact and learn from one another. It also plays a pivotal role in how we do business. So the person in this position will be really a part of a huge project that the finance team is embarking on during this time period to really look at, from a business standpoint and from a vendor standpoint, how we are looking at our social impact under the finance lens. So this person will be doing a deep dive into the vendors that we work with and figuring out if there's ways to have a more socially conscious mind when it comes to the vendors that we choose. Are we, being as equitable as we can? And so this person really needs to have a natural curiosity and a research-driven mind and a data-driven mind, and also not afraid to get on the phone and have conversations. And this person will be working really across the whole department to understand what everyone's needs are. And that's everything from the coffee that we supply employees in certain offices, and what vendors we're working with at our gift shop, as well as what vendors and community organizations we're working with to perform at our events. So someone, again, that has a desire to understand what it's like from a financial standpoint to make a museum run and to think about that from a social impact lens is going to be really successful in this internship. Our IT intern. So as you can imagine, we have a busy IT team here on site, and we're always looking at ways to get better at what we do in the technology that we have. Our museum was built in 1969, and because you have an institution that is long-standing, there are always ways to update and get better when it comes to the technology that we're implementing. So this person will be really instrumental in working on a huge update that we're doing for our organizational website. And again, similar to the finance intern, is that this person will be working across departments. And that's something that you'll find in most of the internships, really all of the internships that we're offering. And this is on purpose. One, this is how our organization functions, and how we're able to be successful is that we all do work closely together and our work intertwines with one another. Two, part of this internship program is to give you exposure to different career paths. So not only would you, if you were in an internship, would you understand what it's like to be in that specific department, but you'll get a front row seat to how the other departments work as well. So in this IT internship, you'll be working across departments to make sure that we understand the needs of all the departments, because the departments have different needs from what they want from an organizational website, and then putting together a strategy around how to implement that and actually implement that. So the HR intern will be working with our HR generalist. So I think this is a really cool opportunity for anyone interested in human resources to really understand all the facets of HR, because it really is a dynamic career. We do a ton of training and growth opportunities for all of our employees. We're about 160 people here at the museum, and this person will play a role in developing training and understanding how we can get better at it, and implementing different ways that we can roll out training options. We're also working on some projects around an alumni program, and we're really looking forward to someone who is going to come in and be really excited about what that could look like and have some fresh ideas. This person will also get exposure to our recruiting function. You'll be working with me a little bit, as well as our other recruiters. So again, a really well-rounded look at what HR would look like. The next internship is in our development office, working with our director and development team. So this is an incredible opportunity to, again, get a front row seat to how do museums run? How do they get funding? How do they develop? We're a nonprofit. That comes with its own fun lists of stipulations in a business. So anyone interested in nonprofits, in cultural institutions, in grant writing, in development, in fundraising is going to really have fun in this role. And it's going to be a really dynamic internship as well, because you're going to get exposure to the entire executive team, sit up in the executive office and work with the board of trustees as well. So a really great opportunity to, again, just get a well-rounded view of what it's like to run a museum and run a nonprofit. Graphic design. So we have a great internal graphic design team with a lot of really cool specialties. And yes, graphic design works really close with marketing to put together promotional material, and they work really closely with the public engagement to make sure that they have the material that they need. They work with everyone. You'll notice a theme here. This particular internship, and what is something that I find really interesting, is the way we think about how our visitors interact with our exhibitions. And that's everything from, you know, what you mentioned, Travis, in the multimedia exhibitions, to the signage, and really thinking through typography and how does that affect the way that a visitor experiences the museum. As well as we have an interesting layout here. We're 3 floors. We have to make sure that our guests and our visitors know how to get from point A to point B. So thinking around signage like that. There also is some work to be done that we'd really like this intern to be a part of, to put some standards in place when it comes to this type of signage and when it comes to typography and when it comes to design in general. So a really great opportunity to make a real impact on how we do things here from a graphic design perspective. Our next internship is our registration intern, and we're actually hiring 2. So when you think about museums, I'm sure you realize there are a lot of pieces in a museum, and they are likely very expensive and precious and rare, and someone needs to keep track of that. And our registration team does that. It can also be called collections management, depending what organization you're in. So I think this is a great opportunity for anyone who is really data savvy, who is really data analytical, to put those skill set into maybe an environment that you wouldn't consider. So these interns keep track of, catalog, care for all of our pieces. And just to kind of give you an idea, we have 1.9 million pieces that are always on display in our galleries. That does not include the special exhibits, and that does not include the 2 million other pieces that exist in an offsite warehouse. So you're managing all of those pieces. And this can be everything from, when you think of a museum, your traditional, you know, painting, to, because we're multidisciplinary, because we have natural science and history, it could be the button on the jacket of the guy that discovered X, Y, and Z, or the napkin the woman used at this famous restaurant. So we have a ton of different types of pieces. You know, when I was speaking to my hiring manager, because a part of this role is not only cataloging it, knowing where it is, working in our database, but it's also being in charge of the care of it. And what I mean by, and the object handling and moving. So in our Respect exhibit, we had a lowrider car, not a picture of one, not a model of one, a real size car. Well, they're in charge of getting that in and out and working across the teams to say, how do we procure that? How do we fit that through the door? And they're making sure that that's done in a safe way for the piece. But just to kind of give you some perspective. So I think this is a really interesting opportunity, again, for people that are data analytical, but also have thoughtfulness around how they handle the pieces. I also just did a really interesting training around how to be in the galleries out of hours, which, this is getting long-winded, but I swear I'm coming to a point. When we have media that come in here all the time, the registration team are the ones that are with the camera crew to make sure that things are handled correctly and showing them around, and that they're handling pieces in the correct way. They're also the ones dealing with the inquiries from other museums or other galleries that would like to borrow our materials, or anyone else who has a reason to see them, family members of artists who would like to see it. So to me, this was a really interesting internship opportunity for people that hadn't considered a career in museums, to use that transferable skill set in a museum setting. So public engagement program intern, we work heavily within our community. And again, the goal of our museum is to create a safe place for our community to share. that means we do a lot of events. The Friday nights that Travis was speaking about, that is put on by our public engagement programming team. And they're incredible. So not only are they doing weekly events, but they're doing some of our large scale events, which include Lunar New Year, which is actually not this weekend, but the following weekend. And our biggest event of the year is the annual Days of the Dead Cultural Community Celebration. And these festivals bring in thousands of people. They contract with multiple food vendors and performers, and we have programming for our visitors to participate in various art activities. And they're always thinking about, okay, but how do we really engage our community in a thoughtful way? So the person in this role will get a lot of project management experience through event planning. They'll deal with a lot of contracts and the nitty-gritty of, again, cool, this is an amazing festival, but how do we actually make this happen? And how do we make it happen in a successful way that it helps with our goals of being community focused and having social impact? And how does it also benefit the museum from a business standpoint? Our next internship is preparation and production. So something that's really unique to the Oakland Museum is our preparation team. We have a team of 13, and that's huge for museums. And what's so cool about that is that we're able to make so much on site. So when you think of a museum and you think, great, I got to see this cool art and I got to see this cool exhibition, these are the people and the team that are building the stands, that are building maybe the non-artifact parts of the artifact display and actually doing the install. And I completely got I got so excited when I was talking to this team about what they do, because they all have these crazy specialties. Like, we have a woman on site that she's a taxidermist. Because we have our natural sciences, we have taxidermied, I don't know if that's the right term, taxidermied, we'll go with it, animals throughout the exhibit. And we actually have someone on site that can do that. And what makes that so unique about all these different specialties is we really don't have to contract out. And people come from so many different backgrounds. So manufacturing, fabrication, construction, theater set design, like, these are all incredible backgrounds that would be really successful in this internship and in this role in general. So I don't have media installation here, but here's a list of all, with the blurbs, but here's a list of all the internships. So media production and installment intern, that's the internship that is going to be working with all of our media installations, as the title suggests. So again, something unique to the Oakland Museum is that we have a media production and installment expert and someone who is solely responsible for all of that. So this person is again, cataloging and keeping track of all of our technical equipment. They're sourcing new technical equipment, and then they are being really creative and building the equipment that we need. So for example, in the Eames exhibit, there's a really cool multifaceted video that's in an interesting nook in the gallery. She had to make sure that the way that it played and the way that it was shown was interpreted and experienced in the way that we expected the guests to experience it. So that's making sure that maybe old technology, because of when the video was made by the husband and wife team, was updated in the way that it needed to be updated. So someone who has an interest in technology and interest in technology equipment, particularly in media and production, you're going to get such an amazing experience when it comes to thinking about how it actually works. And while this person won't necessarily create the media, we have other teams that do that. I think it would be really interesting for someone who does video production or does some type of media production to understand, great, you've created it, now what? Now you need someone to make sure that it's being shown and viewed and experienced in the way that you want it to. We also have a curatorial intern that will work in our natural science discipline. And our natural science gallery. And the curatorial intern and the exhibit experience development intern will work really close together. We have some various pockets of the gallery that need some updating. So it's a great opportunity to really take a project from start to finish when we're thinking about how we want to update the gallery. Within natural science, we're thinking about a project that came up was thinking about the way that we talk about the drought and the recent rain and the way that we show that. And again, the way that it creates a community discussion. So this person will be doing a lot of research into trends and into what's California facing right now, and then how can we display that. So someone that has, again, a natural curiosity and someone that isn't afraid of doing some obscure research and getting on the phone when needed or looking at old scientific journals can put together that information. And then the exhibit experience development in turn takes that information, takes that display and goes, cool, now how do we engage our community? How do we engage our visitors? How do we think our visitors will interpret this? How do we think they'll feel? How do we want them to feel? And make sure that it all matches up nicely. I think I talked about all of them, which was probably a lot of information. So when we think about the program as a whole, we'll be hiring 14 interns this summer. And what we want to do is allow all of our interns to have the opportunity to really learn from one another as they're learning in their departments and learning from the museum. So the training and programming that we've put together that I've talked about a little bit, we will require all interns that your schedule will be flexible depending on your department, but we will require all interns to be on site on Wednesdays to do a training. And that could be anything from, programming around how to take this amazing experience you're getting as an intern and get a job with that, how to interview, how to host an informational interview, how to update your resume and LinkedIn, as well as let's talk about, financial literacy. And so we have a series of additional trainings outside of your internship because it's really important to us that this is an amazing educational opportunity to you at a museum, at a cultural institution, in your department, but also in what it's like to work in a real world experience. So every intern will have a project. Every intern will present their project at the end of the 11-week program to the museums. You'll have this really great project that you then can put on your resume and then speak to in other interviews. And we ask that you stay in touch with us for 2 years following your internship. We want to know what you're doing. We want to stay connected. We want to know what we did well, what you think we could improve, and we also want to continue to be a resource to you. So how to apply? We have an online portal. There is an internship tab where you will find all the internships. The deadline is fast approaching. We're officially less than a month away from our deadline, and we're getting a lot of great applications. It's a fairly long process to apply. There's multiple pages to go through. What I recommend is focusing on uploading a really great personalized resume and a really great personalized cover letter. Those are the two main documents that are going to be looked at. And then I recommend there will be fields that are required to move forward, and there will be fields that you can just move forward without filling them out. Don't worry if you feel that the information that you're being asked to fill out are in your cover letter and resume. Do not worry about filling that out again. Save yourself some time, save yourself some steps, and just move forward to the next step of the process. You will be required to provide 3 references. We do that as a time saver at the end of the interview process. And what I mean by that is we will not contact your references without first asking you, and we will not contact your references until you're in the final rounds of interviewing. There were some questions around that in a previous conversation I had with some students. And you can apply to multiple internships, and I encourage you to apply to multiple internships. If you're going to, make sure that you're uploading a cover letter for every internship that you're interested in, because what we're really looking for are applicants who want to know what it's like to work at a museum, who want to know what it's like to work at the at our museum and who share some of our values and who are passionate about learning. And we want to see that in your cover letter. And while I'm the overarching recruiter and I'll be reading all the applications and I'll be helping with the interview process, you'll also be interviewing and with your particular hiring manager who's going to want to see that you want their internship. So putting why you want that, putting any connection you have to that is going to be really crucial to being considered for the roles.
Dana, thank you so much for taking the time to share this information with our students at Cal State East Bay. I know we'll be working hard to encourage our students to apply to all these wonderful opportunities. I can't state enough how valuable internship experience is for students to make a smooth transition from academics to career, so we greatly appreciate that the Oakland Museum of California keeps visiting East Bay to give our students that advantage. With that said, that wraps up our webinar on internships available with the Oakland Museum of California. These are great experiences, and I encourage you all to apply and to also go visit on Friday nights. It really showcases how centered the museum is around community, and it's going to get you really excited to work there. If you have any other questions, please let us know, and we'll make sure that you receive an answer. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.